Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room and instantly command attention without raising their voice, without smiling, without trying to be liked? It's not charm, it's not charisma, it's something deeper, something colder. It's the silent power of being respected, even by those who may never truly like you. Most people chase affection their whole lives. They believe that if they're kind enough, agreeable enough, generous enough, they'll be valued. But here's a truth. The Stoics and Machiavelli both understood. People don't respect what makes them feel comfortable. They respect what makes them cautious. Respect is born not from how safe you make others feel, but from how clearly they sense you don't need their approval. To be respected is to be slightly out of reach. It's to be known, not through noise, but through presence, through restraint, through the weight of what you could do but choose not to. This video isn't about how to be liked. It's about how to become the kind of person others think twice before underestimating, the kind they remember even in silence. Stay with me. The truth gets sharper from here. 1. Emotional independence, the root of inner power. Before others can respect you, you must first learn to stand unshaken in the silence of your own worth. That is emotional independence, not coldness, not detachment, but the calm certainty that who you are does not waver based on approval or rejection. In a world that rewards those who beg for validation, your refusal to do so will confuse some and command others. And that's the point. You cannot be respected if you're easily shaken. The person who is constantly seeking to be liked, constantly explaining, constantly adjusting themselves to be palatable will never be feared and rarely be truly respected, because true respect is not transactional. It is not bought with smiles, niceness, or flattery. It is earned through an unwavering presence, through boundaries that are firm but not loud, and through a self-possession that tells the world, I don't need your permission to be here. This is where Machiavelli and the Stoics meet. The Stoics taught us that power begins from within, that you must master yourself before you can influence anything beyond you. Machiavelli understood something similar, that those who cannot be emotionally manipulated cannot be controlled. That's the real game. When people see that their praise doesn't make you softer and their criticism doesn't make you shrink, they begin to treat you with calculated caution. And that caution is the beginning of respect. You make your respect expensive by anchoring it to principle, discipline over impulse, silence over explanation, presence over performance. You don't threaten anyone. You don't need to. Your demeanor does the work. And those around you, even the ones who don't like you, will feel it. At the core of this way of living is a simple but powerful truth. People don't respect you because they love you. They respect you because there are consequences, social, emotional, or strategic for not doing so, because there is weight behind your presence. And if they cross your boundaries, they don't get access to you, not because you retaliate, but because you vanish. When you carry yourself with that energy, you don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You don't need to dominate a room. Your restraint speaks louder than force. And those who underestimate you will quickly learn that you're not the type to be provoked. You're the type to be remembered. Quiet, composed, unmoving. That is emotional independence. That is power. And it's the first law of being respected without needing to be liked. 2. Detachment, the gate to self-mastery. There comes a moment, silent but undeniable, when a person must choose their allegiance either to the endless hunger for approval or to their own unshakable sovereignty. That moment defines the course of a life. Most never notice it. They continue on, tethered invisibly to the opinions of others, chasing affection like a beggar reaching for crumbs at a feast that was never theirs. Every compliment lifts them, every cold glance undoes them. They're not living, they're reacting. They're not choosing, they're being chosen. Their self-worth rises and falls with the shifting tides of praise and rejection, and in doing so, they surrender the only power that ever truly mattered, the power to be whole within themselves. But those who rise, the few, make a different choice. They detach, not from people, but from the need to be desired, not from emotion, but from emotional slavery. They cut the thread that binds their value to external affection, and in that severing, they step into something rare. They walk into rooms not to be liked, but to observe. They listen not to gain approval, but to understand. They speak not to impress, but to express. They become quiet storms, unshaken, unreadable, untouched. True detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. It's the serene understanding that your essence is not on trial in the court of public opinion. It's knowing, down to the bone, that whether you are praised or ignored, seen or dismissed, you remain intact. Their applause does not build you. Their rejection cannot dismantle you. You are whole, and they no longer hold the blueprint to your identity. That is the beginning of inner sovereignty, and from that place, something extraordinary happens. You become unpredictable, unmanipulable. You stop shrinking yourself to fit in, and others start adjusting to fit around you. Your silence becomes sharp, your words deliberate, your presence undeniable, not because you strive to dominate, but because you are no longer available for emotional transactions that compromise your dignity. Detachment, in its highest form, is a declaration of independence. It says, I no longer play the game. I no longer barter my self-worth for affection. I see the world's offers of praise and validation for what they are, temporary comforts that come at the cost of clarity. And I choose clarity. I choose stillness over approval. I choose truth over belonging. Not because I reject connection, but because I refuse to beg for it. You don't become powerful by being liked. You become powerful by being free, and detachment is that freedom. The freedom to move without explanation, to stand without apology, and to see without illusion. In a world that rewards performance, your refusal to perform becomes a form of quiet rebellion, one they will never understand, but will always respect. 3. Presence, power without words. There exists a form of power so subtle, so refined, that it speaks before you utter a word and lingers long after you've gone. That power is presence. It's not volume, it's not visibility, it's not about being known or noticed. It's about being felt. Presence is the invisible weight you carry into a room, the quiet force that shifts attention without seeking it. It is the kind of strength that doesn't announce itself, yet cannot be ignored. The Stoics understood this long before it became a modern ambition. They knew that true influence comes not from performance, but from alignment, when your thoughts, your bearing, and your actions move in harmony, rooted in clarity and conviction. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need applause to be validated. What you need is certainty, the kind of certainty that says, I know who I am, and I need nothing from you to confirm it. That is presence. It's found in the stillness of your gaze, the calm control of your breath, the deliberate way you occupy space not to dominate, but to express a quiet refusal to shrink. When you stand with that kind of grounded energy, people feel it in their bones. They may not know why they respect you, but they do. It's instinctual, because the world is loud, chaotic, and full of desperation, and someone who moves without needing to be seen is so rare, so unshakable. They command reverence without asking. Presence does not beg. It doesn't chase. It holds. It invites the world to adjust, not through force, but through contrast. When you remain still while others scramble, your silence exposes their insecurity. When you speak with restraint instead of rushing to fill space, every word becomes heavier. This is the paradox of power. Those who have it rarely need to prove it, and those who prove too much have little worth proving. The man who masters presence becomes a mirror. He reflects the strength others wish they had. He becomes a standard, not by declaration, but by embodiment. He walks into the room, and the air changes, not because he tries to dominate it, but because his energy cannot be ignored. And this is not arrogance, it is discipline. To hold your center, to resist the urge to perform, to know that respect is not given to those who scream for it, but to those who no longer need it. So the question is not, do they like you? The real question is, do they feel you? If the answer is yes, then you've already won. Because presence is not about being admired, it's about being undeniable. 4. Be unreadable. Power lives in mystery. If there is one truth that every Stoic strategist and every cunning ruler has known, it is this: predictability is the slow erosion of power. When others can forecast your moves, they begin to manage you. They prepare their defenses. They sharpen their manipulation. They take the liberty to act boldly, not because they are stronger, but because they are certain. Predictability breeds exposure. Exposure breeds vulnerability. And vulnerability, when visible to those who seek control, becomes the lever they pull to reduce you. To be respected, especially in a world that feeds on advantage and perception, you must disrupt expectations. You must become unreadable not through chaos, but through discipline. Power thrives in mystery. When others cannot place you, cannot decode you, they hesitate. That hesitation is your armor. That pause in their certainty is the space where you assert quiet dominance. People respect what unsettles them. They respect what forces them to rethink their next move. And unpredictability, when practiced with precision, becomes a shield no weapon can pierce. The Stoics taught that self-control is the root of strength. But what few understand is that control is not just about reaction, it's about presentation. Control your reactions, yes, but also control your rhythm, the rhythm of your behavior, your words, your decisions. Change the cadence often enough, and no one will ever know what comes next. That is not randomness, that is strategy in its highest form. Let them expect rage and give them silence. Let them expect obedience and meet them with still resistance. This is how you preserve your inner fortress from being mapped and breached. When you reveal too much your thoughts, your weaknesses, your patterns, you become a system, a machine, and all systems can be studied, exploited, deconstructed. But when you remain a riddle, when your actions defy consistent patterns, people are forced to respect what they cannot predict. They may not understand you, they may not even like you, but they will tread carefully, because no one wants to awaken a force they don't know how to stop. To stay unreadable is not to live in paranoia, it is to live in mastery. It means keeping your silence sharper than your words. It means refusing the comfort of transparency in a world that weaponizes familiarity. Be the question they can't answer. Be the pause in their certainty, and they will respect you, not because you explain yourself, but because they never quite know what you'll do if they cross the line. That is how power endures. That is how power speaks through the silence of the unknown. 5. Silence, the weapon they can't defend against. In a world addicted to noise, silence becomes an act of rebellion and a form of power most fear to wield. But those who understand the architecture of true influence know this: the strongest moves are made in stillness, not in shouting, not in explaining, but in restraint. Silence is not absence, it is presence without performance. It is the quiet tension that disarms, the invisible pressure that unsettles. Where others speak to be heard, you remain silent to be felt. And in that contrast, respect is born. The Stoics taught that control over one's voice begins with control over one's emotions. Silence is that control, perfected. It is the decision to withhold your reactions, to let others exhaust themselves while you observe calm, unreadable, untouchable. You say nothing, but the room shifts. They speak too much, reveal too much, grasp for clarity that you never offer. In your silence, you allow them to expose their agendas, their anxieties, their weakness. Meanwhile, you give nothing. You become the blank space onto which others project their fears, and fear, when nurtured in the unknown, becomes reverence. Every word you choose not to speak becomes a brick in your fortress. Every reaction you deny them becomes a lesson in dominance. The loud are often impulsive, but the silent are calculating. They don't waste their breath on arguments that offer no progress. They don't justify their choices to those unworthy of their clarity. Instead, they speak rarely and precisely when it counts, when it cuts, when the silence has already done most of the work. That is how legends move. Without noise, without explanation, but with weight. Silence also protects. Words are doors to your inner world, and when left wide open, even the kindest listener may become a future enemy. But a man who guards his mind behind silence becomes a mystery, and mysteries are hard to attack. The less you reveal, the harder you are to define. The harder you are to define, the harder you are to destroy. Silence, then, is both armor and sword. It shields your intentions and sharpens your image. In the end, people do not lean into the voice that shouts, they lean into the voice that waits. They don't fear the one who speaks endlessly. They fear the one who speaks rarely, but with consequence. So master the pause. Resist the urge to explain. Let your silence speak louder than their assumptions, because when your presence commands more than your words ever could, that is not emptiness, that is authority, and those who value power will hear it loud and clear. 6. Scarcity, the law that multiplies your value. In a world drowning in noise, where everyone is oversharing, over-explaining, and overextending themselves for attention, true power belongs to the one who withholds. Scarcity is not merely an economic concept. It is a fundamental law of human behavior. Whatever is common becomes invisible. Whatever is rare becomes revered. The mistake most people make is believing that the more they give of themselves, the more value they earn. But in reality, the opposite is true. The more available you are, the easier you are to dismiss. Familiarity breeds complacency, and the overly present are quickly taken for granted. Respect is never given to what is easy to access. The friend who is always at your beck and call, the leader who constantly justifies himself, the lover who offers their soul without boundary, none of these inspire reverence. They inspire assumption, entitlement, and eventually boredom. If you want to command respect that endures even when you are not in the room, you must embrace the discipline of scarcity. Your time, your attention, your presence must be seen as rare commodities, not because you are playing games, but because you understand their true worth. Consider gold, diamonds, ancient artifacts. They are not sought after because they shout, or because they're in everyone's pocket. They're sought after because they are rare, because they are not easy to possess. You must become the same, not a ghost, but a presence that is felt deeply when it appears and missed when it withdraws. When you are too accessible, people assume you have nothing better to do. They assume your time is cheap, your energy abundant, your value negotiable. But when you become intentional in your visibility, when you speak only when it matters, appear only when it counts, engage only when you choose, you become magnetic. Scarcity cultivates mystery, and mystery multiplies respect. This isn't manipulation. It's not about withholding to create desire. It's about recognizing that your inner world, your thoughts, your focus, your energy are sacred, and sacred things are not handed out like leaflets. You protect your value by being selective, not secretive, by being present with weight, not with frequency. People don't respect those who are always around. They respect those who make their presence feel earned. Scarcity forces others to adapt to you. They begin to qualify themselves to receive your time. They think twice before crossing your boundaries or wasting your attention, because they understand access is not guaranteed, it is granted. And once lost, it may not return. You don't need to disappear to create scarcity. You create it by refusing to dilute yourself. Don't attend every argument. Don't comment on every issue. Don't entertain every distraction. When you move, move with meaning. When you speak, let your words carry weight. Let your silence say, I am not here because I need to be. I am here because I chose to be. This is not arrogance. This is discipline. The quiet discipline of recognizing your worth and refusing to trade it for cheap approval. In every power dynamic, whether in business, love, or life, the one who is slightly out of reach holds the upper hand. The one who is not always available becomes the one whose attention is most desired. Why? Because the imagination fills the gap. When people can't have you, they begin to imagine you, and the imagined version of you often commands more influence than the version that shows up every day trying to be liked. Scarcity, then, is a signal. It says, I am whole within myself. I do not need to perform to be valuable. I do not need to be everywhere to matter. The more grounded you are in this truth, the more the world will rise to meet you, not out of affection, but out of respect. So don't beg to be liked. Be missed. Be respected. Be rare. That's where true power lives. 7. Be needed, not liked, but remembered. Respect is not the child of kindness. It does not grow from constant agreement, eager smiles, or the polite shrinking of your truth to please the room. Respect is not won by being liked. It is commanded by being necessary. In every hierarchy, in every relationship, in every circle of influence, the person who holds the most power is not the one adored. It's the one who cannot be replaced. We live in a world that idolizes likability. From childhood, we are taught to adapt, to be agreeable, to avoid tension at all costs. But this is the very path that leads to invisibility, because what people like, they often expect to control, but what they need, that they approach with reverence. To be liked is to entertain, to comfort, to keep the peace. To be needed is to lead, to anchor, to change the outcome simply by being present. One disappears in a crowd. The other becomes the reason the crowd stays. The more you contort yourself to be accepted, the more your edges blur. You apologize for your intensity. You compromise your standards. You become easy to digest, easy to ignore, easy to forget. But respect is never born from ease. It is born from impact. If your absence doesn't create discomfort, your presence never created weight. You must become the person whose presence solves problems and whose absence is a problem. That is the Stoic path to enduring influence. Do not seek comfort, bring clarity. Do not chase affection, deliver value. In business, this means mastering your role to the point that systems bend when you're not there. You're not just another cog. You're the hinge that keeps the door from falling. In relationships, this means offering depth, vision, and stability, not emotional dependency, but psychological grounding. Be the one whose counsel is trusted, whose consistency is missed when it's gone. People will not always like that. They may resent the way you hold your boundaries. They may bristle at your refusal to flatter, but in private moments, they will admit to themselves you are irreplaceable. That is the currency of true power, not applause, not flattery, but necessity. Being liked is fleeting. It changes with mood, with trends, with convenience, but being needed creates a quiet gravity around you. People fear losing what they depend on. They may not say it, they may not show it, but they adjust themselves around it. That fear becomes respect, not because you demanded it, but because they saw what life looked like when you withdrew, and they don't want to feel that void again. So stop watering yourself down for approval. Stop softening your voice to be more palatable. Stand firm. Be useful. Be excellent. Be rare. Become the kind of person whose worth is self-evident, whose presence is a force, and whose absence is a lesson. Respect will follow, not always loudly, but inevitably, and it will have nothing to do with how much they liked you, only with how much they realized they couldn't do without you. In a world obsessed with attention and driven by approval, true power belongs to those who no longer seek to be liked, but choose to be respected. When you guard your presence, speak with clarity, and act with intention, people feel it. They hesitate before testing you. They sense the weight of your absence, and that quiet gravity is what sets you apart. You don't need to explain your worth. Just live it calmly, unapologetically. If this message resonates with you, hit subscribe and walk this path with purpose. In the comments, write earned respect not for others, but as a quiet promise to yourself. And remember, the less they can predict you, the more they'll remember you. The next video will take you even deeper into that power.